بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Good morning. His Highness Sheikh Dr. Sultan bin Muhammad Al-Qasim, member of the Supreme Council and ruler of Sharjah. His Highness Sheikh Sultan bin Muhammad bin Sultan Al-Qasim, Crown Prince and Deputy ruler of Sharjah. His Excellency Sultan bin Ahmad Al-Qasim, Chairman, Government Communication Forum. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure and honor to stand before you today here at the Government Communication Forum to address to the auspicious audience from this region particularly. I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me to share some of my thoughts in relation to our potential, the modern Ummah and human civilization. I always believe that if we have something to communicate, we have to understand first what we are going to communicate. All Muslims, as Muslims, we believe that Islam is a religion that seeks peace and eternal security, and has much to offer to our world torn by violence and conflict. The very name Islam carries the meanings of both peace and security, joined together just as it joins this world with the hereafter. Islam is a universal religion of oneness, Tawheed, not only theologically but also in terms of ethical norms and the integration of values which provide the guidance for social relations as well as fair and just governance. Tawheed rejects artificial divisions in its perception of human dignity, people's welfare and justice. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ also made seeking knowledge an obligation upon every Muslim, and he explained that the superiority of the one who has knowledge over the one who merely worships is like the superiority of the moon over every other heavenly body. Yet I believe all these years we have allowed the image of the Muslim world to be colored by ignorance and ill-informed misperceptions. Today, in the West, the Muslim world is monolithic, backward, oppressive, violent, and uneducated, among other things. Ladies and gentlemen, proliferation of partisan Islam in the 20th century, an epiphenomenon of colonialism, has lowered the broader perspectives of Islam as a world civilization. Numerous parties and political groups emerged espousing the views and perspectives of their own groups that altogether fell short of projecting a wider and inclusive vision of the Ummah. Our history, sadly, has been drifting dangerously along sectarian lines and madhabi divides, so much so that we now stand in a state of tension with the outlook and philosophy of Tawheed. Many parts of the Muslim world, including some of the greatest countries in Muslim civilization, suffer from adverse effects of sectarian schisms and bloodshed. The 20th century Islamic discourse was focused on the ideological and Sharia-related themes and paid scant attention to issues of political legitimacy and economic development. In a nutshell, it is not wrong to say that the biggest problems facing Muslims and the Islamic world is conflict within us, the Ummah. I am not saying something new. As a matter of fact, we have recognized this as a problem for a long time. Ladies and gentlemen, many of us forget that much of modern civilization's advances have been built on discoveries and innovations made by Muslim scholars. This is true in disciplines as different as mathematics, medicine, astronomy, architecture, and science. Many groundbreaking scientific and technological advances were pioneered during the world age of Muslim civilization between the 7th and the 17th centuries. The simple truth is that Islam and modernity is not mutually exclusive. To deny this would be to disregard not only Islamic civilization's proud heritage, but also the multitude of Muslims who now excel across all fields, doctors, engineers, scientists, and in the context of present company, maid, and public relations professionals. There is nothing in the Quran or the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that prevents Muslims from advancing or improving themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, the Guinness Book of World Records recognized the University of Al-Qurani in Fez, Morocco as the oldest university. It was the first modern multi-subject, multi-faculty university open to men and women in 1859. What is notable is that the credit for the university goes to a woman, Princess Fatima Al-Fihri. Al-Azhar University, founded in Cairo, Egypt in the 10th century, offered a variety of academic degrees, including postgraduate degrees, and is often considered the first full-fledged university. For such a glittering intellectual history, it is disheartening that Muslims today lag behind the West. The 57 member countries of the Organization of Islamic Conference, OIC, have around 500 universities, compared with more than 5,000 universities in the US and more than 8,000 in India. None of our institutes of higher learning made it to the list of top universities of the world. Meanwhile, not even one Muslim country made it to the list of developed nations of the world. What have we done about this? We have talked about it, and we are still talking. In the OIC, where I remember we issued back in December 2005, with greatest hope and expectations, the Makkah Declaration. The question at hand is, how can we show the world that Islam is an inclusive, embracing, and modern way of life? Current misperceptions, if left uncorrected, will surely reinforce prejudices and continue to provide fuel to those who thrive on division and discord. Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you another question. Why did the great civilizations fail? It is quite obvious that some people, after being leaders for so long, they forgot the values which made them leaders. They failed to bequeath these values to their people, to their young. They became corrupt and unjust, unfair and cruel, and eventually they disintegrated. What are these values? Iman, the value of governance, the values of righteousness, of justice and incorruptibility, integrity, diligence, industry, desire and pursuit of knowledge, adaptability, generosity of human spirit, meritocracy, and grooming the young and making way for them. The challenge that therefore lies before us is how can we reshape perception and brand Islam. I have tried to do it by espousing Islam Hadari. Islam Hadari encompasses the human teaching of Islam. Central to Islam Hadari is the civilizational potential that Islam offers for the renewal of societies grounded upon the essentials of human well-being, uprightness, and equity. Islam Hadari provides a set of 10 principles that arise from the mainstream of teachings of Islam and widen the scope of the Islamic discourse towards its broader civilizational goal. Islam Hadari promotes inclusivity and people's welfare objectives regardless of race, of gender and religion, and it is grounded in the conviction that Islam can tap into its own rich intellectual tradition to challenge extremist and partisan doctrines. Islam Hadari is definitely consistent with the objective of creating a stable international world order. Islam Hadari aims at both promoting a progressive developmental outlook and also building a moral society with strong religious and spiritual values. It calls for Muslims to be progressive, to be modern, dynamic in thinking and practice, which essentially encompasses the sphere of economy, politics, social, cultural, education, defense, technology, and science. These comprehensive characteristics are pertinent ultimately in reinstating Islam not only as a true religion but also a great civilization. Islam Hadari posits 10 fundamental principles which Muslim countries must demonstrate, namely, and this Islam Hadari is Manhaj Islam Hadari. 1 is faith and piety in Allah. 2, a just and trustworthy government. 3, a free and independent people. 4, a vigorous pursuit and mastery of knowledge. 5, a balanced and comprehensive economic development. 6, a good quality of life for the people. 7, the protection of the rights of minority groups and women. 8, culture and moral integrity. 9, the safeguarding of natural resources and environment. 10, strong defense capability. Islam Hadari is not an attempt to Islamize all facets of life, neither is it an ambition to create an ideology or madhab. Simply put, Islam Hadari is an approach which stresses that Islam and progress go hand in hand. My opinion is that Muslims should embrace all knowledge and practices that benefit society and do not contravene the precepts of Islam. Ladies and gentlemen, human capital development is something that is always close to my heart. I always believe only a human being equipped with knowledge, with skills, with good moral values, and an open mind can propel the country forward. Looking at the 10 principles of Islam Hadari, the Manhaj, it is obvious that they serve as important foundation for producing a developing and progressive, moderate human capital. It begins with a strong religious basis, belief in God, which is fundamental in strengthening the internal psychological dimension of a human being. A strong theological foundation will always be the basis of strength in another dimension of life. Muslim countries need to nurture quality human capital. Our effort in this regard is minute. It's a fact that many Muslim countries must invest more in education, in research, basic research especially, and development, technology and innovation. The Muslim world spends 0.2% of its GDP on research and development, while the Western nations spend around 5% of GDP on producing knowledge. The number of books translated annually from foreign languages to Arabic is around 300. Compared to these, in a small country like Greece, it was 5 times the number of books translated in the entire Arab region, and in Spain alone, approximately 100,000 books are translated annually. However, history shows us that during the peak period of the rise of sciences in the Islamic world in the 9th and 14th centuries AD, the Arab scholars never hesitated to learn the Greek and Sanskrit languages to gain knowledge. It is a simple truth. We need to grow our people. We need to grow our people before we can grow our economy. If people don't grow and stay trapped within the circle of poverty, then the conflicts and social ills that we see in so many countries will continue. What is there for us, therefore, to tell the world what we have is a question. Second thrust of the national mission that I introduced when I was Prime Minister was to raise the capacity for knowledge and innovation and nurture first-class mentality for all Malaysians. We set our priority towards efforts to develop high-quality, knowledgeable, and innovative human capital imbued with positive values. Human capital development is becoming a very important focus for the world. About half of the world's population is under 25 years of age. Unskilled and uneducated means a great loss, missing the opportunity to compete and also to be successful. I believe quality human capital development is the best solution to building Malaysia. The same principle applies to other countries as well, I believe. Ladies and gentlemen, we need a vision to set our goals. We need a mission to guide our way forward. Without a mission, the vision cannot be achieved. It will only be a dream unfulfilled. But we need a very strong mission with commitment, not only to lead our people, to tell them what we want as leaders and as government, and at the same time we need their help, because government alone speaking is not enough. It is important that we hear the voices of the people and what they need and what concern they have for us to understand. We need plans, we need programs, long, medium, and short term, to achieve our goals. Most important of all, we need quality people, the human capital, to plan and to implement what we have initiated, to create enough interest in many in terms of what we have to say, we need to say, for we have something good that we have to say. Therefore, we must continue to provide equitable distribution of quality opportunity for the people. There must be opportunity of quality education to all our people. We must not be satisfied at buying and using technologies, but do not have the capability to create technologies of our own. Education, ladies and gentlemen, if applied in the right way, can be a panacea to the world's ill. But it must have a purpose. It must aim at an outcome. Education must build skills that will guarantee a means for income generation, in particular to the developing countries. Education cannot be a paper chase. True education is one that molds the character and the whole person. A person must have the right values and understand his or her responsibilities as a member within the family, as an individual within the community, as a part of society, and as citizen of a country. Competition between countries today is no longer based on the industrial age model of linear thinking. Creative and innovative thinking, together with soft skills like communication and teamwork, are highly prized, as competition is not about brawn but brains. The most innovative countries are among the richest in the world. In the Global Innovation Index, it is the small countries starting with S that take the 3 top spots: Switzerland, Sweden, and Singapore. In this region, Qatar has been ranked 26 in the Global Innovation Index, securing the highest position in the Middle East, ahead of even the world's 2 largest emerging economies, China and India. The UAE, which has the 2nd position in the Middle East, is 8 ranks below Qatar at number 34 in the list. No other Middle East country figured in the top 40 on the Global Innovation Index. In the 21st century, the size of a country isn't important. It is the ability to look to the future. Ladies and gentlemen, at this stage, it is important for me to emphasize that education and human capital development based on the principles of Islam Hadari is not intended for the Muslim alone. The 10 principles or the manhaj of Islam Hadari is compatible with other religious practices. Therefore, such principles would bring us together. Muslims and non-Muslims of Malaysia accept our policy on education and development that ensure us a future of progress and prosperity while enjoying cultural diversity and racial harmony in our country. I would like just to say this in a very few words, that when Islam Hadari was introduced, I had to face our friends who are in the Barisan National. The government, our government has a coalition of 13 countries. One is UMNO, the Muslim party, and the rest, we have Chinese, we have Indians, we have Christians, we have Hindus, and we have other people of other religions and other political, belonging to different political groupings. But it is important that if we have something that we would like to implement, we would like people to accept that we speak to them. I had a long time and a tough time to speak to them, to convince them that 10 principles are values that can be acceptable to people of different religions. These are common values, and if you all can hold on to this together, then at least we have a common platform on which we stand and for which we will work very hard for the future of our country. It is not for them to say no, they have nothing to say to be against it, but at least they could be convinced that such values are not against their own understanding, their own teaching, as far as their religion is concerned. But at least they will believe that the Muslims can share with them what we believe in and what they can accept, we too can accept and tolerate. Malaysia does offer a modest working model of renewal, reform, and perhaps renaissance in the Muslim world. We do not claim that Malaysia is perfect and has all the answers to the many problems of the Muslim world. We are also aware that different countries need different solutions to their problems, but I do believe that Malaysia can be a showcase of what is to be a successful modern Muslim country, especially if we are determined and united in our effort. Ladies and gentlemen, young people are the fastest growing segment of Arab countries' population. Some 60% of the population is under 25 years old, making this one of the most youthful regions in the world, with a median age of 22 years compared to a global average of 28. Today, there are new generations of techies, social media types, and digitally savvy professionals have also played a very visibly important role in the future of their countries. Present and future Arab young business leaders and entrepreneurs need to be educated and trained, particularly when it comes to how to successfully convert ideas, technologies, and innovations into commercialized outputs and sold in local and international markets. Ladies and gentlemen, during the peak period of scientific achievement of Islam, religion was central in stimulating scientific progress and not a hindrance. Religious education was never separated from science and education. In fact, they harmoniously complemented each other. A distinguished physician, astronomer, philosopher, etc., could also perform with equal competence the duties of qadi in the court of law. A muazzin also can be serving as an astronomer in an observatory. During the peak period, Islam had a most liberal outlook. Religious tolerance was its hallmark. Even the Hindu scholars were invited from India to supervise the translation of scientific works in Sanskrit, mainly astronomy and mathematics. Differences in religion were never allowed to stand in the way of acquisition, promotion, and advancement of knowledge. We must return to our basic source of inspiration to regain our spiritual, emotional, and intellectual vitality in order to usher in a new dynamic phase of renaissance of science and technology, and regain new heights of scientific achievement, ensuring peace and prosperity for all the people of the world. We should create ideas that can be sold, that can be promoted, that can attract attentions of many people. Many of them are looking forward to hear what Islam can convince them to understand that our religion is a religion of peace. Our religion is not against progress. Our religion wants to understand, want people to understand that the values that we hold on to are values that are common and values that can promote the world to be a world that is peaceful. We need to concentrate our efforts to show that all Muslims are willing to work together, actively, fully contributing as constructive members of the global community, and is a force for good and for peace, inshallah. If we adhere to this teaching of the Quran, good will be with us. If we work hard and our feeling is that we need peace, we care, we love, and inshallah, we will be able to achieve what we have in our mind that we need to be more progressive, to be doing well, to be respected. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
شكرا جزيل الشكر لدولة رئيس الوزراء الماليزي الأسبق عبد الله أحمد بدوي على كلمته الجميلة والقيمة. صاحب السمو، أيها الحفل الكريم، ينعقد المنتدى هذا العام تحت شعار دور الاتصال الحكومي في إدارة عملية التطوير، مستهدفا العاملين في مجال الإعلام والاتصال والعلاقات العامة في المؤسسات الحكومية بالمنطقة، وذلك بهدف نقل أحدث الممارسات المهنية في هذا المجال إلى إمارة الشارقة. كل التوفيق والسداد نتمناه لكل المشاركين والمتحدثين في هذا المنتدى الحيوي والهام. بعد استراحة قصيرة لا تتجاوز 5 دقائق سنبدأ جلستنا الأولى في هذا المنتدى، والتي تبحث موضوع الأزمات الإعلامية وأسبابها وكيفية تجنبها. يتحدث فيها كل من الدكتور نبيل الخطيب رئيس التحرير التنفيذي لقناة العربية الإخبارية، والسيد براد ستبلز رئيس أبكو العالمية الرئيس الدولي للتنمية العالمية لإدارة الأزمات، وتدير الجلسة الإعلامية القديرة زميلة ليلى الشيخلي من قناة الجزيرة الإخبارية. صاحب السمو، نشكر لكم ونقدر حضوركم وتشريفكم لنا الدورة الأولى لمنتدى الشارقة للاتصال الحكومي، وكلنا أمل في أن نصل من خلاله للأهداف المرجوة. شكرا لكم مرة أخرى، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.